Hey friends, welcome to my farmstead dream. I'm Diane, and today we're going to use our garlic greens to make some garlic salt, some homemade garlic salt. So I've gone through and picked out any of the greens that didn't look so hot, that were yellowed or whatever. And now I'm just going to chop them up into, I don't know, maybe inch size pieces. They don't have to be chopped really small or anything because we're going to process them. So I'm just chopping them up and getting them ready. I just want them small enough to go into my processor. And right now, all my stuff is in storage since we're staying with Mom to care for her. So my big food processor is in storage, so I'm using her small little processor. So we've got everything chopped up, and now I've washed them, and I've got some sea salt. This is 2.5 cups of sea salt, and I'm not real sure you see how many greens there are. It's not a huge amount. So I'm just going to add my greens to the food processor. Sorry, I kind of cut the video off and you can't see me pouring them in, but you get the gist. Oh, there we go. Moving the camera. Okay, so we're just going to get our greens into the processor. And then for this part, we're just going to make a paste with the greens and about 1/2 cup of our sea salt. So I'm just going to pull 1/2 cup of our sea salt out of our little cup here and pour it into the food processor. And it's probably going to be a little loud. I don't know if I can edit the sound out or not, but I will try. So I'm just going to pulse it and get it processed together. Well, I'm going to scoot it over closer to the camera so it'll be just a little bit louder for y'all to hear it. Sorry. So we're just going to pulse it or process it until it just kind of combines with the sea salt that we've added in there, and it chops up the garlic into pretty fine pieces. You want them, you don't want big huge chunks of garlic greens in your salt, so you want to get them chunked up. So I'm taking the lid off and I'm scraping down the bottom because some of the salt is kind of sticking to the sides and it's not mixing in with the greens. So I'm just going to scrape that down a little. And then I'm just going to add the rest of our salt into a larger bowl so that I can mix it a little easier. And then I'm just going to take our paste and I'm scraping every little morsel off of that food processor. We want all the good stuff. And we're just going to put all of our little paste that we've made in the processor, we're going to put all of that into our bowl with our sea salt. I just used a rubber spatula to get all that goodness out of that food processor. Make sure we don't miss any flavors. Alright, and now I'm just going to start mixing, and you're going to mix for a while because you want to incorporate all of this salt together with this paste, and it's going to give it a little bit of a green color, so you want it to kind of turn that green color, but it takes a while to get everything mixed up good enough to where it's fully incorporated and you don't have, like large areas of just sea salt without any of the garlic seasoning or the garlic tops, garlic flavor, what have you. You just want to make sure that you mix it up really, really well. Trying to incorporate and mix those garlic greens and that garlic green paste all throughout that whole 2 cups of the sea salt that we put in our bowl. So we just want to mix everything together real good. Okay, now I'm going to add some dried large leaf sorrel. I had some dried and I need to use it, so I thought it would be a good addition to add it to our garlic salt, just to give it just a tiny bit of a little added flavor. It's not real strong. You can barely taste it. And then here in this jar, I have another video on what I did with this, but those are garlic greens and olive oil, and I thought that it would make a better paste to have just a little bit of that olive oil, and a wet garlic green. I just thought it would be a little bit better of a paste. So I'm just adding a couple of those in. And then here I'm just adding a little bit more of the olive oil just to give it a little bit of stickability, I guess you could say. And then I'm just going to take my scoop, my half a cup scoop, and I'm not measuring really, I'm just using it for a scoop. But I'm going to add that cup of salt, garlic salt, back into the processor with the greens and the large leaf sorrel. And now I'm just going to process that in the processor. I'm going to get it chopped up as finely as I can get it. Just going to scrape the excess salt that's on the sides down into our mixture. And then I'm going to chop it up a little more because I saw a few pieces that just weren't small enough. So it's okay to process it a pretty good bit to make sure that everything gets incorporated and that it gets chopped up into, into seasoning size pieces. Okay, now we're going to add everything back into our big bowl of garlic salt. And again, with the rubber spatula, we got to get every morsel. Hey, I grew up that way. I was taught you don't waste anything, so that is a product of my raising. Okay, so now here we're giving it another good stir, and again we're going to stir until we get it really, really good and incorporated. And we want to make sure that everything is mixed in well. And I'm not going to video the whole process because it does take a while, so you'll know when you start doing yours. You'll know it takes quite a bit longer than this video, but I'm just going to cut it short for video's sake. Okay, so then you're going to take a sheet pan and line it with parchment paper. And then I'm going to pour all of my salt into the sheet pan. We're going to get everything out of the bowl so we don't miss any of the goodness. And then we're going to spread everything out into our sheet pan. You want to spread it out into as thin of a layer as you can. So we're just going to spread it out evenly. And this is a pretty large, I think this is a, I think they call it a half sheet pan. So, and we had 2.5 cups of the salt. So we're making, somewhere around that amount. So I'm just spreading everything out. Yes, my hands are clean. I promise. I wash my hands 1,000 times a session when I'm cooking. I'm constantly washing my hands, so they're clean. So Okay, so now I have let this dry, and I actually let it dry overnight because I didn't have time to finish it. So we are here in the next morning, and we're going to go ahead and get this jarred up. I have tasted it. It has a good garlic flavor. With a little bit, I can taste just a little bit of that large leaf sorrel in there, but it's just enough to give it a good flavor. So now we're just going to jar it up. So you can use a mason jar, but if you don't have a mason jar and you have, like I have this empty garlic salt, I get my garlic salt in these big things, and I have an empty one, so you can use either or. I'm going to go ahead and use the mason jar just because I like the looks of the mason jar better. So we're just going to scoop it into the jar, and I'm going to see how talented I am and see if I can pour it into this jar from the parchment paper. So if I make a mess, don't laugh at me. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of gather everything up. I'm going to scoop this over, and I'm going to put my jar in this pan, and that way if I make a mess, it goes in the pan and not on the cutting board. Alright, so here we go. I'm just going to kind of fold these ends together like this and make myself a little funnel. Can y'all see that? See, I just kind of made myself a little funnel. Alright, so here we go. Let's see how much of this we can fit into our mason jar. And I'm going to kind of tuck that in a little bit better. There we go. Very nice. And I may have enough to, I may have too much to go in the mason jar. I may have to use both. Nope, I think I'm going to just do it. There we go. Very nice. I'm just going to take a spoon and kind of even it out. There we go. Good deal. And now, just put the lid on. And then you have a whole jar of garlic salt that you made from what you grew in your garden. And if you want to mix it up, you can go ahead and give it a shake around. Oops. I didn't have my lid on tight enough, so now I've made a mess. Of course, I always have to make a mess in the kitchen. That is par for the course. But I'll go ahead and let you take a peek of the inside or down in the jar so that you can see how nice and pretty that looks. And it's yummy. So yeah, quick and easy way to make your own garlic salt. So I hope you enjoyed the video. And leave in the comments if you've ever made your own garlic salt, or if you have other ideas for things that you can do with your garlic tops. And don't forget to like and subscribe for me if you will. Hit that notification bell if you'd like to see more videos like this one. And I'll just see you in the next video. Big hugs.